They said time had passed her by. Mia had learned how to smile in a way that asked for nothing. In the town of Red Willow, that mattered. People noticed desperation here. They whispered about it behind church doors and grocery counters, the way prairie wind whispered through broken fences. Mia had been the subject of those whispers for years. 40, unmarried, no children. Some said she was too quiet. Others said she'd waited too long. A few said she was foolish for believing love would come when the world had already moved on. Mia never corrected them. Every morning, she opened the small dry goods store on Main Street, sweeping dust from the wooden steps before the sun fully rose. Her dresses were modest but well-kept, fitted enough to show she still cared, soft at the collar where the heat demanded forgiveness. Her hair was always pinned neatly, though a few strands escaped by noon, brushing her cheeks like secrets she never shared. She noticed the looks. The pity. The quiet judgment. What they didn't see was how strong loneliness had made her. That morning, the sound of hooves broke the usual rhythm of Red Willow. Not rushed. Not careless. Measured. Mia glanced up just as the rider slowed near the sheriff's office. Arthur Hale dismounted like a man who belonged wherever he stood. He was broad-shouldered, sun-worn, his hat pulled low but not hiding the calm in his eyes. The kind of man who didn't announce himself, yet somehow the air shifted when he arrived. Dust clung to his coat, proof of long miles and harder days. He tied his horse with practiced ease, nodding once to the sheriff before stepping inside. Mia didn't know why her breath caught. She turned back to her shelves, annoyed at herself. Men passed through Red Willow all the time. Ranch hands. Traders. Drifters. None of them stayed. None of them looked twice. Still, when Arthur stepped back outside, his gaze drifted, slow, deliberate, and landed on her. It wasn't the look she was used to. No surprise. No judgment. Just recognition. Arthur had been hired by Sheriff Collins for a simple job on paper: escort a witness from a neighboring territory, keep trouble from finding its way back to Red Willow. Arthur took the job because it needed doing. Because that was who he was. What he hadn't expected was the quiet woman across the street who met his eyes without flinching. Mia felt it then. The strange pull of being seen, not as a woman past her time, not as a subject of whispers, but as herself. Later that afternoon, Arthur stepped into her store. The bell above the door chimed softly. "Afternoon," he said. His voice was steady, low, the kind that didn't rush silence. "Afternoon," Mia replied, smoothing her apron though it didn't need it. He glanced around, then back at her. "Sheriff said you'd have supplies I need for the road." "I do." She reached behind the counter, moving with practiced confidence. Arthur noticed her hands, capable, steady. He noticed how she didn't fidget. Didn't try to impress. When their fingers brushed exchanging coins, the contact lingered just a second too long. Neither pulled away. Outside, the prairie stretched endlessly, golden and patient. Inside, something quietly began. Mia didn't know yet that Arthur would challenge every lie she'd ever been told about time, worth, and love. Arthur didn't know yet that the woman everyone overlooked was the one he'd been waiting for. But the West had a way of remembering hearts others forgot. And it wasn't finished with them. When a look lingers too long. Arthur Hale stayed in Red Willow longer than planned. The job with the sheriff should have taken 2 days. 3, at most. But the witness was delayed, weather turning the roads into stubborn mud, and Arthur found himself with time he hadn't expected, and a town that felt different than most. Mia noticed before she allowed herself to admit it. He came into her store again the next morning, then the day after that. Sometimes for supplies he didn't truly need. Sometimes just to ask a question he already knew the answer to. She never called him out on it. Their conversations were small at first. Safe. The price of sugar. The condition of the road west. whether the rain would last. But beneath every word was something neither named. Arthur noticed the way people spoke around her. Not cruelly. Never openly. But the pauses were there. The glances. The way some women leaned closer to him in public spaces, their laughter louder than necessary, their eyes briefly flicking toward Mia like a silent comparison. He didn't like it. One afternoon, Mia stepped out back to receive a crate when Arthur appeared beside her, lifting the heavier end without being asked. "Thank you," she said, surprised. He shrugged. "Didn't look like a one-person job." She smiled softly. "Most things become one if you wait long enough." The words slipped out before she could stop them. Arthur paused, studying her, not with pity, not with curiosity, but with something closer to understanding. "That so?" he asked. Mia nodded, setting the crate down. "You learn to manage." There was honesty in her voice. No bitterness. That unsettled him more than anger would have. That evening, the town gathered near the sheriff's porch for supper and music. Lanterns glowed as the sky deepened to indigo. Arthur arrived late, taking a seat near the edge of the gathering. Mia sat across the way, hands folded in her lap, dressed simple but flattering in the lantern light. Arthur couldn't look away. She didn't try to compete. Didn't perform. She simply existed, and somehow that drew him more than any practiced charm ever had. When the music slowed, someone suggested a walk to cool off. Arthur found himself standing beside Mia without remembering how he'd crossed the space between them. "Care to join me?" he asked. Her breath caught, just barely. "Yes." They walked beyond the lanterns, toward the quiet stretch of land where the prairie opened wide. Crickets hummed. The air smelled of grass and dust and something new. "I won't pretend I don't know what folks say about me," Mia said suddenly. Arthur stopped walking. She turned to face him, moonlight softening her features. "I've heard it all. That I waited too long. That I should have settled. That there must be something wrong with me." His jaw tightened. "They're wrong," he said. Mia gave a sad smile. "That's kind of you." "It's honest," Arthur replied. "And I don't say things I don't mean." She studied him then, really studied him. The stillness in his posture. The certainty in his voice. The way he didn't look at her like she was fragile or expired. "What about you?" she asked. "People don't talk about a man like you without stories." Arthur exhaled slowly. "I've been alone a long time. By choice. By habit," he said. "Harder to lose something when you never claim it." The truth of that settled between them. When the wind picked up, Mia shivered. Arthur removed his coat without hesitation, draping it around her shoulders. She inhaled instinctively, leather, sun, distance. She didn't hand it back. Their steps slowed. Their shoulders brushed. When they stopped, neither moved away. Arthur lifted a hand, hesitating just a moment before brushing a loose strand of hair from her cheek. His touch was careful, reverent, like he understood how long it had been since someone touched her without expectation. Mia's breath trembled. "This is dangerous," she whispered. "I know," he said. But he didn't pull back. For the first time in years, Mia felt chosen, not because she was convenient, not because time had run out, but because someone saw her and wanted her anyway. And Arthur realized something else, too. He hadn't planned on staying in Red Willow. But walking away from her suddenly felt impossible. When the town starts to notice. By the third day, Red Willow had noticed. Small towns always did. Mia felt it in the way conversations softened when she passed. In how eyes lingered longer than usual, some curious, some disapproving. Arthur Hale wasn't just passing through anymore, and everyone could see it. He walked her home that evening, boots crunching against gravel, their pace unhurried. The sky stretched wide above them, pale gold fading into dusk. You don't have to do this, Mia said quietly. Arthur glanced at her. Do what? Walk me home. Be seen. I want to, he replied simply. That was the thing about Arthur. He never defended himself. Never explained. He did what felt right and let the rest fall where it may. At her door, they lingered. Mia's house was small but cared for, whitewashed boards and a porch she swept every morning. Arthur noticed how it reflected her, nothing excessive, nothing neglected. You've built a good life, he said. She shook her head gently. I've built a quiet one. There was a difference. Arthur reached out, resting his hand against the porch rail beside hers. Close enough that she felt the heat of him. Not touching, but aware. I don't think quiet means empty, he said. Mia looked up at him then. Really looked. The lantern light caught the lines in his face, the strength earned by time rather than youth. He wasn't reckless. He wasn't chasing something to fill a hole. He was present. Grounded. That scared her more than loneliness ever had. People will talk, she warned. They always do. This time it'll be worse, she said softly. Because they'll think you're making a mistake. Arthur's eyes didn't leave hers. Are you? The question lodged in her chest. Before she could answer, footsteps approached. Laughter. Familiar voices. Two women from church passed by, glancing between them. One smiled politely. The other didn't bother hiding her surprise. Mia felt herself shrink without meaning to. Arthur saw it. He stepped closer, not possessive, not showy, but deliberate. His presence a quiet declaration. The women moved on. Mia exhaled shakily. You didn't have to. Yes, I did, he said. No one gets to make you feel small. The words settled deep. The next afternoon, the sheriff's delayed witness finally arrived. Arthur's job was nearly done. That realization sat heavy in Mia's chest all day. When Arthur entered the store near closing time, she knew. She felt it in the stillness between them. I'll be leaving tomorrow, he said. The bell above the door chimed softly behind him, like punctuation on a sentence she wasn't ready to finish. I see, she replied, keeping her voice steady. I wanted to tell you myself. I'm glad you did. They stood there, surrounded by shelves of ordinary things, flour, cloth, lantern oil, while something extraordinary waited unspoken between them. That evening, Arthur asked her to walk again. This time, they didn't stop at her porch. They walked past town, toward the open prairie where the grass bent low and the stars came early. A small fire crackled near a resting wagon, someone passing through, asleep. They sat a short distance away, warmth brushing their knees. Arthur removed his hat, setting it beside him. I don't know what tomorrow brings, he said. But I know what today has. Mia folded her hands in her lap. I don't want to be someone's pause, she said. Something remembered fondly, then left behind. Arthur turned toward her fully. I don't make memories I don't intend to keep. The firelight flickered, illuminating the curve of her face, the softness she'd spent years hiding beneath restraint. He lifted a hand, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His fingers traced her jaw, slow, reverent. When he leaned in, it wasn't rushed. It wasn't hungry. It was careful. Their kiss was gentle at first, testing, uncertain. Then deeper, warmer, like two people who understood exactly what was at stake. Mia's hand curled into his shirt, grounding herself in the reality of him. When they parted, her forehead rested against his. This isn't nothing, she whispered. No, Arthur said softly. It isn't. But as the fire burned low, the weight of tomorrow pressed in. And both of them knew, wanting something didn't guarantee the courage to keep it. When wanting becomes a risk. The morning Arthur planned to leave arrived too quietly. Mia stood behind the counter of her store, hands folded, staring at the same ledger she'd been pretending to read for 10 minutes. Outside, Red Willow moved on as it always did, boots on boards, wagons creaking, voices rising and falling. But for her, everything felt suspended. Arthur hadn't come by. She told herself that was how it should be. He'd said his goodbyes the night before, beneath a sky heavy with stars and unspoken promises. Dragging it out would only make leaving harder. Still, the space he left behind felt larger than the town itself. Near midday, Sheriff Collins stepped into the store. His expression was careful, the way men looked when they were about to say something they weren't proud of. "Mia," he said. "We need to talk." Her stomach tightened. They stood near the back shelves, out of sight of the windows. The sheriff cleared his throat. "People are talking." She met his gaze steadily. "They always are. This time it's different," he said. "Arthur's not just passing through anymore. Folks think he's attached." "And is that a problem?" she asked. The sheriff hesitated. "They think you'll slow him down. That he deserves more." Mia felt the words like a blade pressed just beneath the skin. "More than what?" she asked quietly. Sheriff Collins looked away. That answer told her everything. When he left, Mia didn't cry. She'd cried enough years ago over smaller hurts. Instead, she straightened her apron and finished her day, every motion deliberate, controlled. That evening, she walked to the edge of town alone. Arthur was there, loading his saddlebags. His horse shifted, sensing the tension. "You heard," he said as she approached. "I did." Silence stretched between them, heavy as the coming night. "They think I'm making a mistake," Arthur said. "That I'll regret staying." Mia stopped a few steps away. "And do you?" "No." The certainty in his voice made her heart ache. "But I don't belong here," he continued. "Not the way you do. And I won't have you bearing the weight of other people's opinions because of me." Her hands clenched. "So you'll leave," she said. "Not a question." Arthur stepped closer. "I'll do what protects you." The words shattered something fragile inside her. "I don't need protecting from feeling," she said. "I need honesty." He reached for her, stopping just short. "If I stay, it won't be easy. This town will watch every step. Every touch." "I've lived under their eyes my whole life," she replied. "The difference is, I was alone." Arthur's breath hitched. She moved closer now, close enough that the space between them vanished. "Don't decide for me," she said softly. "If you walk away, let it be because you want to, not because you think I'm too fragile to choose." The wind stirred her hair, brushing against his chest. He lifted a hand, fingers threading gently through the loose strands at her nape. The intimacy of the gesture made her knees weaken. "You're anything but fragile," he said. "You're the strongest woman I've known." His thumb traced the line of her jaw, slow and deliberate. She leaned into the touch without thinking. Their kiss this time was deeper. Harder to ignore. Arthur's hand settled at her waist, firm but respectful, grounding her. Mia felt the heat of him, the promise of something she'd denied herself for years. When they broke apart, breathless, Arthur rested his forehead against hers. "If I stay," he murmured, "I stay for good." Mia swallowed. This was the edge, the place where hope could become heartbreak. "Then stay because you want this," she said. "Not because you feel responsible." Arthur stepped back, forcing distance where every instinct told him to close it. "I need the night," he said. "To decide as the man I am, not the one they think I should be." Mia nodded, though her chest burned. "I understand." They parted without another word. That night, Mia sat on her porch, lantern low, the prairie stretching dark and endless before her. She'd waited years for something real, and now that it stood within reach, she feared it might cost her everything. Arthur stood beyond town, staring at the open road. Freedom had always been simple. Staying had never been this terrifying. By dawn, one of them would choose. And the West would remember the moment it happened. The choice that changes everything. The sunrise over Red Willow spilled golden across the prairie. Birds stirred. Dust shimmered in the first light. But for Mia, the world felt smaller than ever, compressed into the space where Arthur might, or might not, appear. She spent the morning quietly, tending the store, watching each passerby with half an ear. Every creak of the door, every distant hoofbeat, set her pulse racing. Arthur arrived just as the clock struck noon, sun glinting off his worn hat, dust clinging to his boots. He didn't rush in. He walked slowly, deliberately, as if measuring the weight of what he was about to do. Mia's breath caught. "Arthur," she whispered, but he didn't answer immediately. He simply removed his hat and looked at her, really looked at her. The world fell away. "Morning," he said finally, voice low, steady. "I've decided." Mia's stomach flipped. "Yes." Arthur stepped closer, closing the distance between them. "I'm staying." Her heart leapt, but caution lingered. "Because you want to, or because you feel obligated?" He smiled faintly, brushing a loose strand of her hair from her face. "Because I've never been more certain of anything. Not my work, not the trail, not even the West itself. But I am certain of you, Mia." Tears stung her eyes. The ones who had mocked her, whispered about her, none of it mattered anymore. Not while he chose her freely, with all the strength he carried. The townsfolk noticed almost immediately. Whispers rippled through Red Willow. A few wagged their tongues openly, but more than that, the look on Arthur's face when he walked beside Mia silenced any doubters. There was no hesitation. No doubt. Only respect, warmth, and the subtle power of two people who had found one another against odds. Arthur took Mia's hand as they walked outside. The prairie stretched before them, golden and infinite. His thumb brushed against hers in the way that made hearts race without a word. "I should warn you," he said quietly. "It won't be easy. People are still going to talk." Mia tilted her chin. "Let them. I've survived worse." The subtle flirtation in his gaze made her pulse skip. He was tall, strong, and capable of handling anything, but she knew his strength was just as much in his patience, in the way he waited and noticed small details, the way he made her feel alive just by being near her. That evening, Arthur suggested a ride across the prairie, just the two of them. Dust rose behind their horses as they moved together in silence, words unnecessary. When they stopped near a quiet stream, the air smelled of earth and distant rain. Arthur dismounted, holding his hand out. Mia hesitated, then placed her hand in his. That simple connection, skin against skin, spoke more than any words could. Arthur lifted her gently to the ground beside the stream. They sat, legs brushing, hands intertwined. The tension in her chest eased with each heartbeat. Finally, she allowed herself to rest against him, letting the quiet intimacy of the moment wash over her. "You could have left," Mia whispered. "I could have," he admitted. "But that wouldn't have been me. And it wouldn't have been us." Her lips curved into a smile. "Then stay, Arthur. Stay for us." He leaned in slowly, brushing his lips against hers in a kiss that was tender, deliberate, and intimate, but safe enough for the prairie evening, for the watching stars, for the story that was still unfolding. The fire of the setting sun painted their faces gold. For the first time in decades, Mia felt truly seen, desired, and safe. And Arthur, once a wanderer, bound only by duty and the horizon, had found something worth staying for. By the time they returned to Red Willow, the town had murmured and watched. But now, instead of judgment, there was respect. The couple had chosen each other, boldly, and that was a story that even the harshest gossipers couldn't undo. That night, as lanterns glowed in windows across town, Mia rested her head against Arthur's chest. She could feel the steady beat of his heart, the warmth of his body, the certainty of his choice. For the first time in her life, she allowed herself to believe that happiness wasn't something passed over, delayed, or forbidden. She closed her eyes, knowing that love, unexpected, unplanned, and perfectly timed, had finally arrived. And the West, silent witness to countless stories of heartbreak and hope, remembered another one. The West finally smiles on them. Red Willow woke to a sun that felt different that morning. Golden rays poured across the prairie, catching dust motes in their warmth. Something in the town's air had shifted. Mia stepped outside, her dress swaying softly in the morning breeze. She felt lighter than she had in years. The quiet weight of judgment, the whispered doubts, and the lonely years, all of it seemed distant now. Arthur stood beside her, leaning casually against his horse. His eyes met hers, steady, calm, and filled with something that made her chest ache with relief. He didn't just see her, he valued her. And now, finally, so did the town. "Morning," he said, tipping his hat, but his smile didn't waver. "Morning," Mia replied, brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. The sheriff approached, clearing his throat but with a twinkle in his eye. "I hear congratulations are in order," he said. Mia's cheeks warmed. Arthur's hand found hers, thumb brushing gently over her knuckles. The subtle touch, intimate, protective, and electric, made her pulse quicken. Word spread quickly. The townsfolk, once whispering, began nodding as Arthur and Mia walked through Main Street together. Children waved. Neighbors smiled. Even those who had doubted seemed softened by the quiet certainty between the couple. Mia realized something then. She had waited decades for love, but she had never stopped living her life with dignity. And that strength had made her irresistible, not the youth they mocked, not the expectations she hadn't met, but her heart, her courage, her soul. That evening, as the sun dipped behind Monument Valley-style buttes, Arthur led Mia to a secluded stretch of the prairie. Lanterns glowed softly, illuminating the ground around them in warm gold. He removed his coat and draped it across her shoulders again, the leather warm, familiar, protective. Mia leaned against him, inhaling the faint scent of sun, dust, and a hint of something uniquely Arthur. Her fingers traced the calloused lines of his hands, the hands that had carried responsibility, strength, and now, care. "I never thought I'd find someone who sees me," she said softly. Arthur tilted her chin up, brushing her lips gently with his thumb. "And I never thought I'd find someone I'd want to stay with in one place." The tension between them, years of waiting, longing, and fear, dissolved in a kiss. This one was gentle but deliberate, electric without needing to be explicit. It lingered, hearts sinking, breaths mingling, and promises forming in the quiet prairie air. They pulled back just enough to see each other's faces. Mia smiled, and Arthur mirrored it, the kind of smile that comes only once in a lifetime. Later, back in town, the celebration was quiet but heartfelt. Friends and neighbors offered congratulations, some shy, some openly joyful. Arthur's decision had transformed not just his life and Mia's, but the town's perception as well. That night, on the porch of Mia's house, they sat wrapped in blankets, shoulders touching. The prairie stretched endlessly before them, moonlight painting silver across the grass. "You know," Mia said, her voice soft, "I never imagined it could feel like this. Like I finally belong, not just here, but to someone who truly sees me." Arthur's arm tightened around her. "You belong to no one but yourself, Mia. But I get the honor of staying by your side." She rested her head against his chest. The beat of his heart was steady, strong, and constant. And in that rhythm, she felt everything she had been waiting for: recognition, passion, safety, and love. For once, there were no whispers, no judgments. Just the quiet wind, the endless prairie, and the knowledge that sometimes, the West did remember the hearts that others overlooked. They sat there for a long time, sharing silence, warmth, and the unspoken promise of a lifetime together. The fire in their souls reflected in their eyes, and in the end, it wasn't just love, they had found home. The story of Mia and Arthur became the kind the town would tell for years. Not as gossip, not as judgment, but as proof, love doesn't have an age, a timeline, or a reason. Sometimes, it simply arrives when two hearts are ready, and bold enough, to claim it. And as the stars twinkled over Red Willow, the West held its breath, knowing it had witnessed something rare, beautiful, and true. Mia smiled up at Arthur. "We made it," she whispered. Arthur kissed her forehead, the touch soft but sure. "Yes, we did. And we'll keep making it, together." The West, vast and patient, smiled along with them.